Thank you for staying with us. I begin here with the Nation newspaper. And the big story here is on the presidency. Atiku's alternative economic plan, a cheap talk. His call for human-faced reforms resonates well with our administration's focus. And that's the presidency reacting there. We sell petrol at 990 naira per litre to trucks, says Dangote refinery. Imported products below our cost price is substandard. Federal government raises Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway compensation to 18 billion naira. Labour Party Governor Uti's men win council seat on the Zenith Labour Party ticket. Another story here says banks credit to economy rise to 118 trillion naira. Some stories on the front page of the Nation. So Daily Times, the state of the nation, what we would have done differently. Atiku says as he offers Tinubu solutions to Nigeria's problems. Atiku's economic proposals would have worsened Nigeria's situation. The presidency replies. Nasu Sano suspend indefinite strike following government intervention. Government borrowing from bank surges by 90% in 12 months, reaching 42 trillion naira. And the reps approved $2 billion renewable energy grant. Some stories on the front page of the Daily Times. The first news, security mover out. My orders protesters removal at Lagos meeting. Still on Atiku's advice to the presidency. If I were president, here's what I would have done differently. Privatize, modernize refineries for efficiency. Implement gradual subsidy reforms to ease transition, adopt a managed floating foreign exchange system for stability. We must rise above tribalism, religious bias, Emilokon syndrome, Obi says. Tinubu to swear in 7 new ministers today. Some stories on the front page of the first news. To Nigeria News Direct, the National Bureau of Statistics report proves Ogun State can survive without federal allocation. That's the governor reacting to the IGR ranking. 48-hour ultimatum. Release hungry, malnourished children, other protesters. Serap tells Tinubu. Those importing PMS at lower price dumping substandard products in Nigerian markets, Dangote alleges. Now, Susano suspends strike layout conditions to the federal government. The major stories on the front page of Nigerian News Direct to the Punch on the hashtag End Bad Governance. Northern governors ACF orders demand minors release. The North must wake up. Bala Mohammed charges regions. Sends defer on arraigned minors. Aggrieved resident protest as King politicians visit Spain flawed scenes. Outside Nigeria on the U.S. election, Harris, Trump, and final push for votes. The major stories on the front page of the Punch to the New Telegraph. Trying minors shows the government as authoritarian, intolerant. The ACF says, as he calls for their release, compensation. 32 detained children, malnourished, says Sarah. Court jails fake professor for impersonation. ICPC arraigns provost to lecturer for certificate forgery. And on the election, Aida Tiwaja defer on security vote, minimum wage. The Labour Party loses Abia local government post as ZLP sweeps 15 local government areas. APC wins 13 local government areas, councillorship units in Nasarawa State. In Rivers State, the control of state resources cause of the crisis, Barra says. And the story here says low sugar intake in utero early childhood can reduce chronic disease risk. Some stories on the front page of the New Telegraph to the Daily Trust. Families of detained minors cry for justice. I thought my son was dead. Falana order lawyers to challenge bail terms. Inspector General of Police, prosecutors' utterances disappointing, the ACF says. Governor Yusuf demands detainees return to Kano. CSOs threaten mass action. Syrup wants minors released in 48 hours. Another story here says Naira depreciation pushes Nigeria's debt up by 47 trillion Naira in 1 year. Wanted terrorist leader Habu Dogo arrested. Two Kano NNPP reps dumped the Kwankwasia movement that's in Kano State. And landmine kills 7 loggers in Borno. Presidency, Afenifere disagree over federal appointments. Let's move to the Guardian newspaper. The federal government begins food imports, may extend zero-duty initiative timeline. Nigeria, 8 ECOWAS countries sign ICES treaty. Source control real reason for Rizwa's political crisis, says Fubara. APC slams Makinde, IMPI backs Tinubu as Atiku offers alternative path. The federal government to pay 18 billion naira compensation in 10 days on the Lagos-Calabar highway. CSOs of Falana fault treason charges urge the release of minors. Others. Some stories on the front page of The Guardian to Daily Independent. With aggressive expansion, Nigerian banks beat economic headwinds on course to double their profit at year end. At Editors Conference, Shatima Diri Bagudu Idris Rebadu Nasima lead discussion on economy and security. Serap gives Tinubu 48 hours to free malnourished minors, other protesters. Tinubu swears in new ministers today. The police have arrested 113 foreigners, 17 Nigerians, over cyber crimes that threaten national security. Our PMS cheaper than imported ones, says Dangote. And finally, here with me is the Platform Times. Reps probe $2 billion renewable energy grant investment, invite stakeholders. ICPC arraigns college provost lecturer over alleged forgery in Sokoto. The police operatives have allegedly killed a commercial driver over 100 naira bribe. Do not remember me for my many fights. Obaseki to Edo people. Interesting. Malaria remains serious health concern in Nigeria. NDHS service says, and the cocaine worth 4 billion naira confiscated at the Lagos airport. Some stories on the front page of the Platform Times. Theophilus.
From our end, Leadership newspaper says here, 2 months later, NYSC corps members yet to get 77,000 naira allowance. Resort to side job says current 33,000 allowance not sustainable. Organizations reduce corps members' working days. AFCFTA customs facilitate first shipment to Kenya. LP fails to win any local government seat in Abia. Varsity workers suspend strike. Our PMS cheaper than imported ones, says Dangote. Tinubu swears in 7 ministers designate today. Falana wants charges against minors dropped. This Nigerian newspaper says proliferation of PhD degrees. It's indeed a sad, sorry situation, as academics speak. Senate vows to stop illegal mining in Nigeria. As panel visits Niger Governor Bago over collapsed mining site. Serap demands release of underage protesters. Federal High Court judgment directing CBN to stop allocation to rivers. That's on page 7 of the newspaper. This Nigeria. Power Band A customers want downward review of high tariff. The Help newspaper. Ondo governorship debate. Ayedatiwa flaws Ajayi on fraud accusations as PDP candidate goes blank. Fails to prove 1.2 billion naira fraud claim. Governor carpets Ajayi on abandoned 20 billion naira Ubonwoye road project. APC PDP candidates on failed programs of action. Tinubu to swear in new ministers today. 100 naira note scarcity hits traders, POS. Of course, these are many more in the Hope newspaper this morning. And let's go to the Abuja Inquirer. Wike, beggar set for collision course. Minister vows they're going back as 326 arrested. You will tire beggar's mark. Over 1,400 arrested since 2007. Tinubu to swear in new ministers today. Insecurity, FCTA to begin profiling of taxi drivers. 200 billion naira property demolition. Restrain Wike. Estate developers back to the book. The blueprint says 8 months after sack of REA management team, reps begin probe into $2 billion renewable energy investments. Say we are not out for witch hunt as public hearing begins Tuesday. NSIA, NDDC, ECA, Niger Delta Power Holding others summoned. 2025 AFCAN, Nigerians in Libya face mass deportation after CAF ruling. NGE conference, Shatima Diri, Idris Ribadu lead discussions on economy, security. Amuka, Oshoba, Obiagbe and others to address media challenges. Nature News newspaper says, why African women agribusiness doesn't prosper. Study report. Nigeria's Professor tops 44 inductees of Essays Academy of Science. NPAMD outlines growth plans for Nigeria's maritime sector. Well, fact check, is plastic bag more environmental friendly than a paper bag? That's a big question there. Energy security, stakeholders harp on CNG, electric vehicles. And finally, from my end, is a Sporting Life newspaper. Napoli 0, Atlanta 3. Lukman scores brace. Voted MOTM says, as man of the match, says he's not interested in personal glory. Galatasaray versus Tottenham. Osimhen misses training again. Battles to be fit for Spurs game. Stunning strike against West Ham. I like to surprise everyone, says Olaido. And it's quite good to see that Nigerian players are doing quite well in their various clubs. Arsenal plot £90 million move for Kudus. Salah, Liverpool belong to the top. And of course, we have this and many more in the Sporting Life newspaper this morning. Of course, looking at the top part there, Mike Tyson sheds tears, admits he won't wish his life on anybody ahead of highly anticipated bout with Paul.
Right, Theophilus, I'm sure our viewers have been informed. Of course, you can get a copy of any of the daily